Hello everyone. Now you will hear a short retelling of the film Hans. Enjoy watching. A boy named K, waiting for a train in the subway, sees his friend Kato. A man falls on the way, and no one from the crowd rushes to help him. Only Kato is trying to lift the body, but he alone does not have enough strength for this. And when he notices K, he turns to him for help. But the guy freezes, so the daredevil somehow saves the man himself. K still decided to help Kato himself when the train almost arrived at the station, but they both fall on the way and die under his wheels. However, the next moment the guys woke up in a room with some people and a huge black ball. It turns out that each of the strangers died on this day. Suddenly, in the middle of the room, the ball created a naked wet girl. K and Kato appeared here in exactly the same way. Music began to come from the ball, and then an inscription appeared that notifies people that their lives belong to the black sphere and now it will dispose of them. And the group also needs to kill some onion alien. The balloon opened, there is a body on life support inside it, personal cases were also found there, and inside them unusual costumes and even stranger weapons. The girl, for lack of other clothes, immediately puts on a suit. Just as they appeared, one by one, the strangers began to dissolve into space. A countdown timer started on the sphere. The reverse company was formed on some street. One guy, already dressed in a suit, began to overwrite that it was all a reality show and the winner would receive $100,000. To do this, you just need to shoot the creature hiding around the corner. Part of the group rushed to catch up with their goal with excitement. A strange-looking kid offers them a bow. "I'll give you a bow. I'll give you a bow." And then sprinkles them with snot and jumps from a height. The chase continues. As a result, the snotty freak was pressed against the wall. One of the men, a Yakuza, fired a shot and after a few seconds Cipollino tore off the handle. With the second limb with blades, he injured the aggressors and was eventually blown to shreds. But the trouble is, his onion dad came for the kid with a whole bag of onions and cut off the Yakuza's leg in one movement. Others tried to shoot him, but eventually hit a man and blew him up. The alien crushed the rest of the heads with his foot. He was about to sort out the ramp, but a girl in a super suit ran into him and drove him into the wall. The monster fights back and then it turns out that the person in the suit does not feel pain, but the suit is not on Ko and he was supposed to be the next victim. A liar saves him and catches the monster in the net. He lets K shoot, but he couldn't do it, and then an experienced fighter finishes him off. A few seconds after the shot, the Onion Man bursts. A minute before the time expires, the surviving guys are back in the room, including another guy who was seriously injured. Everyone always returns to the room completely healthy. Everyone gets points after the task, everyone is left with zeros, except for Nisha, who already has 79 points with these 5. He says that the sphere is called Hans and that a lot of people died on missions. The guys grappled, figuring things out, and suddenly K found himself in his room. He comes to the same metro station again, only a message is pasted on the column about the search for eyewitnesses of the tragedy that happened to him yesterday. He finally gets an interview, but fails it. The guy does not let go of the thought of a terrible dream. In the evening, K finds the place where they fought onion monsters. Traces of the massacre remained, so it was in reality. Kishimoto, the girl from the room, also came here, and she asks to spend the night with K today. Kishimoto admits that she passed away in the bathroom after breaking up with a guy. The girl kept Kato's jacket, there was a notebook inside, from which the guys learned that the guy had been convicted, as well as the address of his residence. K really likes Kishimoto, but she wants to meet Kato as soon as possible, so he definitely won't need the condom he hid earlier. We are transported to the dwelling of Kato, who lives with his younger brother. Now he is tormented by nightmares. He began to disappear before my eyes again. Another moment and he and Kame are standing in the middle of the mysterious room again. Kishimoto with a niche and newcomers are located nearby. Hans gives a new task, to kill the cheerful alien Tanaka. Nishi admits that he returned here many times and each time only he survived. The rest of the poor devils were just bait and cannon fodder. The whole group is transferred to the parking lot. The child runs and crashes into Tanaka, knocking the boombox out of his hands. The alien does not forgive him for this and sends him to the next world with his grandmother. Next, he attacks with a color charge of K and, taking off like a rocket, attacks the niche. The robot knocks the whole soul out of him and breaks the suit. Kato tries to save him, but it's too late. A dying guy asks one of them to score 100 points and revive him. The robot woke up and turned on its threshing machines again. Apparently, he liked Kishimoto. Instead of hitting the girl, he stares at her breasts. Kei suffers from dozens of blows, but the reinforced suit allows her to withstand them, as well as deliver devastating blows in response. He was trapped by the creature in the car, and when it was preparing to fire a volley, he managed to shoot first. Together they explode inside the car. All the participants moved back, except for Kei. His leg and arm were torn off. But as soon as the timer showed zeros, the guy also returned unharmed and even got 7 points for destroying the alien. He has 93 left to save up to 100. Now we need to find out what this 100 gives. Gon informs the guys of this information. The player can resurrect himself or revive any of the dead. This time at home, Kei came to himself in a special suit, and he can use its capabilities in real life, for example, to jump long distances. He is distracted from the tests by a classmate who is breathing unevenly to him. She brags about a manga about a superhero that she drew herself. But Kishimoto comes to Kato and confesses to him that she wants to live now because she met him. The guy also has his own tragic story. He was in prison because, protecting his younger brother, he killed his alcoholic father, and now he will try to do everything to survive and not leave his brother alone. He promises this personally to his little brother. On TV, the news is talking about the unexplained destruction that has been taking place in the city in recent days. For the third time, the trio return to the room, ready for anything. Today, with other participants, they will have to fight with a particularly dangerous alien of the 3rd level. Kato is trying to explain the rules of the game to the newcomers, but Kei believed that he was a comic book hero and was sure that he could handle it himself. In the city, the team seems to find its goal in the form of a huge statue, which the newcomer smashes with one shot. But the second giant, standing next to him, does not give offense and steps towards the players. They surrounded the giant, but Kei runs around him and does not let the others shoot. At the cost of a novice's life, he blows the creature's leg, and then the entire monster as a whole. By his behavior, he now resembles the deceased cunning niche. For some reason, the team did not return to the room, and when the allotted time came to an end, the timer started again. The priest and the girl were hiding in the museum. The last one, having got out of there, died of injuries, so there is another alien inside. It turned out to be a multi-armed Buddha, who immediately stabbed Kei with his swords. The guy is bleeding and most likely dropped out before the end of the battle. The statue promises to take revenge on Kato for all the friends they killed earlier. Kishimoto surreptitiously shoots at the alien, but then dodges and breaks her gun. All fighters are wounded. Only now does Kato notice that he also has a special sword on his belt. But even with him, it is difficult to resist a Buddha wielding dozens of swords at once. Kishimoto also has no chance against him, and the Isthmian pierces her through at the same time with a bunch of blades. The girl tries to kiss Kato, but without doing so, she dies in his arms. The mad battle continues, and literally in a few seconds Kato is impaled on all the blades at once. Kei activates a suit that allows him to stand on his feet and even strengthen him. He understands that there is nothing to do with a cold weapon here, so he runs for a gun. After the shot, the alien remains without swords, but at the same time drops a small Buddha from his hand, which grows to gigantic proportions before his eyes. It has become twice as tall as the museum building. With the last of his strength, Kato throws a gun to Kei and he blows Megabuddhi's hand in 3 shots. The guy tuned in for the final blow, but was simply swallowed by the Buddha. That's just with the Japanese, the Colossus swallowed his trunk, so he soon lost his head and everything else. Kato is dying and Kei doesn't know if his friend will wake up in the room this time. There are 3 survivors in the room, it's time to count the points. But Kei is not interested in the 13 points scored, he asks to show the dead. Hans shows photos of Kishimoto and Kato, and also reminds the guy that he can return a person if he scores 100 points. And Kei is in despair, as she realizes that this is almost impossible. The next day, he is no longer interested in either the classmate or her mango. In the subway, Some kid dropped his cap on the rails. Kei jumps off quite calmly and gives it to the owner, but he is in no hurry to get up himself. Probably, he wants to finish everything so much, but at the last moment, Kei still grabs the outstretched hand of the mangaka in love with him. She asks the young man not to kill himself, and he understands that he has someone to live for. Kei takes care of Kato's younger brother. In a room with his new acquaintances, he is ready to start destroying the aliens again in order to accumulate the necessary number of points.